In today's mail is my friend Ed Cotton. He had sent me some books. Now, of course, he's a professional modeler, and he's offered to make me a building to put on a train layout. And I'm just looking at some of the different things. I've seen some of these books, but never really got a chance to sit down and read them, because basically all the books are on loan. Anyway, some of the things that Mike Costello had loaned me when we were working on the model railroad on a daily basis. Well, until the winter time, we're not going to be doing a lot of work on it, but we do visit it from time to time and just have a good old time running the trains. And of course, it's just nice having it. Now, this is from Ed. Now, I've been waiting for this a long time. This is his real. Ed's a very accomplished modeler, period. And of course, we can all learn from everyone. But from somebody like Ed, there's an extreme lot to learn. Check out the detailing on this camouflage job. I'd love to know how he did this. Look at the size of the model anyway. Anyway, this is Ed's model. And Ed and I have become quite, look at the cockpit detail. Now tell me this isn't professional level stuff. This is truly professional stuff. You can even look here. Hey, look at the little parts on this. Unbelievable. Now there's one thing about modeling. And if you keep this in mind, everything else makes sense. All modeling is really the same thing, whether you make an architectural models, a model railroad, or a model airplane, or a model car, or a model boat. Modeling is modeling is modeling, and that's an oversimplification, but I think Ed's just living proof that that's the truth. And one person that models, now in my case, I try to do a little bit of everything, but I certainly go down where the boat people are, and I enjoy watching them race their boats and do their thing. I also enjoy the car racing. From 2 team trials ago, remember I watched half of it after I had been eliminated. I kind of was getting distracted looking at the gas-powered cars. Anyway, now Ed had, and I'm going to open this on camera. This is the second thing Ed has contributed to my, maybe I could just get Ed to move down here and work on my model railroad full time. But anyway, oh my God, look at this. Well, if you can see the detail on this. Let's see if we can get the macro lens working. There we go. Okay, macro lens boy. Now we're gonna add the, just put the little details on this. Ed, I can't thank you enough. This is an absolute little piece of jewelry. Look at it's even got the little wing struts and everything. Look at this up close. Now we're going to add him to a model railroad tonight when we have our little running session. Mike Costello is due to stop by, but we don't need him to add something to the layout. That is unbelievable. Ed, you've raised the bar. I am jealous. And should you decide to make me a coal loader, trust me, it'll be the focal point of my railroad. Well, it looks like their appearance point, and you know, they do the scale judging. They put it up on a table. And of course Ed's over here. He can't be at the table. He's over here taking a flight on his pattern ship. And you notice one thing, everybody gets along well. The RC Flyers, the Good Humor Man. Even though, like our Circle Burner field, this field is supposed to be for control line only, we always look forward to sharing it with somebody that has another common interest. And boy, if you could look at this real close, the scale detailing. And we added, because we're having an air show, we've added bleachers, and we've added about 200 people. These are all hand-painted individuals, by the way. Some sitting, some standing. We've got them scattered all over the layout. But Ed's really checking this out. He's waiting for that B-25 to land so he can put up a pattern flight. And as soon as they judge his scale model, they will get Dub Jet and Rich Oliver to put up a flight with their speed models. Get George Aldrich to fly his old Nobler. Get Elliott Scott to fly his Brodak Cardinal. Get Mike Costello to fly the Ballerina. Or in the worst of all worlds, we can just watch Wendy get dizzy out here. Or, as we do every night this time, we get a couple of our best friends over and run the trains.
decide to build a coal loader, right back there is where we can put it. We got a nice big empty area right by the water tank.
Now every night before I put the trains to sleep, that's really exactly what I do. Even though it's early, I want to thank Ed Cotton again. That's a fabulous little gift, fabulous little addition to the layout. And I have to tell you, and I'm not supposed to tell anybody this, but I guess it's not really going to matter. Roger Karp shot a picture of me with these Spitfires in the background that's going to be in the Classic Toy Trains when they publish it. And when I looked at the picture now, it's a preview picture, it's not the final picture. I looked and I said, wow, these planes really, maybe I've forgotten how cool these planes really were. Nah, I haven't. These planes are the love of my life, and they're up in the museum, as we hope someday the B-25 is going to be very soon, someday soon. And we're just going to need a bigger house. That's all there is to it. Just love having these planes up here. Now, today is our annual fun fly up at the field, and we have some incredibly good weather here. And we're visited by TV celebrity Crocodile Dundee has joined us for a little impromptu fly-in session. Here's what you get. Free fly-in lessons from Crocodile Dundee. Check this out. And believe it or not, we have a very rare, beautiful day at the circuit bird field for our fun fly.
Okay. I flew that in the contest and everything. It's been flown. Thank you, dear.
You know, Mel, every time I've ever I got the P-38, the Thunderbolt. Every time.
The 38 didn't crash, though.
No, but every time I come up here and I'm ready to see one of these winning scale flights, it's an adventure.
Did you see the Tiger Cat?
No.
You remember that one?
Oh.
You know where that is, don't you?
Nah,
That's a bubble in somebody's studio apartment.
This plane may have limited. Oh, he's got my EAT prop on there. Oh, what a guy.
I've flown this already.
Okay.
It's just a good flyer.
Full motors in there. Four strokes?
Machine gun bullets.
Okay.
Flies excellent.
Look at the bullets. Da, 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 da.
They actually go off. He put gunpowder in them. I don't know what this hatch is for, but I think he got his lunch in there.
That's where they keep the salami sandwich. If he shoots the Red Baron down, he gets to eat the sandwich. If not, on the way down,
I say, old chap, those are kippers.
Hey, my friend, listen to this. My friend Ed Cotton from Canada, he made an exact copy of a Fokker, a bipe with the camouflage on the top, in 1/48 scale.
Wow.
For my model railroad, you can't believe the detail. There's more detail on it than there is on this model. Rivet heads, painted the skull and crossbones on the back.
What is it?
Very,
a D8 or a biplane?
The biplane.
Did you, last week I had my...
Is it a D7? It's a 7.
7 is the biplane.
7 is the biplane. I'm wrong. Very, very cool.
All that detail.
That's scale dust. Ruben, you're the new social director of the club. Get these guys to dust their plane before they go on video.
This is the first time it's been out since before I got sick.
You gonna fly it?
Yeah, I'm gonna fly it.
All right. What a day, huh? Holy man.
It's a day for you, boy.
That's a good day. I'm gonna fly today.
Am I gonna be in the archives?
I wish I would have bought the bomber today.
Yeah, I never seen that.
Oh, you'll see in the fall in the Powell Park. We're gonna fly it.
Yeah.
I don't like flying it on grass. It's just
That's what.
back circle, leading off the impromptu fun fly. It looks like we got 6-7 guys here already. Tom Hampshire with his Sato 72 Cardinal. Well, what a day. You can see everybody's backing up. Dead air. Totally dead. Larry Scarinzi's here with his 200-mile-an-hour combat job. Cooper's working on his Strega kit already. Got his motor, his pipe. Brian Manaz Cardinal after several days of trim flights, and we're going to try to help him today. Miss Ashley's here. Within the next week or so, we're going to be switching from a 65 to a 61 so that we can fly the team trials with a 61. And Rich Jacobone with his modified Cardinal Stuka. More nitro, more nitro. Little known fact, the Tour de France just pulled into the parking lot. Look at this, we got the Tour de France coming into our Lance Armstrong and the rest of the American team. Well, it's turned out to be a heck of a day.
Building the wing, you're going straight past it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because all you got to do is touch it. And
Yeah.
Well, mine it's all windcheck wood. And Tommy didn't even know what I was talking about.
Yo,
Oh, shit, gang.
That's why I built them that way.
Ryan, the carrier event is held on the other circle.
Wendy had the camera on for that flight. The only flight of the day is video. The camera's on.
Blasted Ghostbusters camera again.
Brian, I know you'll want to see this over and over next time you buy the shop.
Fix the landing gear.
Show us again the breakaway style of landing gear mount.
It's neat, look.
You have something to be proud of, I'll tell you.
How long is that carbon fiber gear, Wendy? Brian, look at it this way.
I'm not sure, but he's putting it to the test.
Oh, so happy. Rich has this wall-to-wall grin. We can't see it.
And here's the other,
This guy in town.
Brian, we got a couple pet alligators if you want to wrestle them later, you know.
I'm going to do that right back the way it was.
What you have to do, good thing we saw this happen in real. Where this is, it needs to go forward like an inch or two.
And,
See this? You have a leverage arm here that's astronomical.
and this grain is along, so it'll split.
I added this grain the other day because I had less holding
What you
it
do,
Do the alligators ever win?
you cut a gusset that looks like this, with the grain going
Yeah,
this way, from
yeah.
plate to the inside of the doubler.
Well, we got to turn it over. I can show you what I did, but
Okay.
Flip it over. Let me see
this
this.
is all triangular stock, and I laid it in Lincoln log. I notched it and everything, and it was only adhering to
But it
exactly
needs
where
to go.
it's
It needs to go forward because you have a
you need-
leverage arm here.
And you need
My
to have
point
the
is,
grain.
if it were to break again, it would really rip up underneath.
Well, you're not supposed to. Look at what he hits. Look, for crying out loud, an elephant would trip on this. You're not. Why do you have to land that? The carrier vent is over there.
I did this a week ago.
But think how happy you've made Rich Jacobone.
Now, Jacobone is the only other one to ever break a carbon gear.
They've been at that. They've been hammering you for 2 years.
Give him the award,
Now
Rich.
somebody else had a mistake.
Give him the award.
So Brian gets promoted to the barrel boy of the day.
Barrel boy.
Barrel boy.
Crocodile boy.
It's his turn in the
This
barrel.
is twice I've done it.
Okay.
And it's
Twice?
little connect- Yeah, I did. I told you I did it 2 weeks ago. I fixed it.
I thought that was years. You mean
No,
you do
no,
this like
no.
once a week?
I did this, yes, stupidity, because, you know why? Because you
Zambelli's going all this thing to do retracts. He should have just called you.
a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. You say, walk forward with it, so I'm walking forward with it, but instead of walking this way, I always tend to walk this way. Flares up, next thing you know, it's 30 feet more, and it's done. I gotta start
Well,
walking backwards is what I
You're
gotta do.
making Rich is the cat that ate the canary now. You're out of the barrel, Jacobone. Oh, man.
What a shake.
I thought you were the only one that would ever figure out how to break a carbon gear, but now you've been replaced.
But the gear held up, right?
Yeah.
So here you see a great idea for your next plane is extend the plywood forward about 2 inches and you won't be like Brian breaking the gear out. We got the big tub. I always love watching this fly. As people know, I have a lot of J3 time, a lot of Citabria time. Boy, it is a day like today, fly with the doors off. Just incredible. Just unbelievable. I think Frankie's got the cowling. I made him a fiberglass cowling for this thing, or I fixed it. I don't even remember. No, I just fixed the one he had. Got his smoke system going. But that carbon fiber gear thing, now it's the same thing with the gear in the wing. If you don't have the wire going up to the top of the wing, if you have those little short stubs, they're more prone to break. If you do it the way that, give credit to somebody, I don't know, the long arm going into the wing is the whole secret. I love those big float planes, the Cubs on float planes. They have that circle out somewhere in West Coast where they land them, Fred Cronwitz crew. Video cameras on board. A lot of cool stuff. Lots, and that guy at Brodak that had the Cub with the Z-Tron. The Z-Tron built right into the handle. A lot of cool stuff. Very cool year coming up. Notice where the Venturi is on this little guy. One of Larry's combat jobs. Yeah, nice long summer days at the club feel like this. Very enjoyable. A lot of fun hanging out with the guys.
No, somehow they missed him. I don't know how. And then the marshals came out and had to tackle him and direct him off by his feet. What was he, a spectator? No, he was a
No, it was some crazy guy wearing kilts and having some Talking about the Formula One race on TV this morning, a guy walked out on the track. Some protest guy with kilts at the British Grand Prix. Very, very cool.
It screwed the whole race up because they all go for the well, first some stopped for him and others went darting by him, so the leaders were now in 15th. And then they take the rust off and, take
Now Brian won't have to worry about breaking the carbon fiber gear out of this plane.
my imagination or
I love the Crocodile on Dundee hat, but I gotta get one of those hats. Actually, Brian Ether, when he was at my house, gave me a hat like that. And I gave it to my daughter. She wears it on stage once in a while. Brian, just let it go. To hell with Larry. Always one of the funs of our fun fly, having Larry chase all the mosquitoes off the field. Hey, we had some good combat matches out at this year's Nats. Didn't seem to be bothered by the wind at all. World's longest needle valve setting here. All right. Larry Scarinzi, the legend of District 2. Hey, is it true Larry got... Jimmy? Is it true Larry got caught stealing toilet paper from McDonald's?
Nah, they realized it was just napkins he taped together.
Here we go. One of those little Russian combat jobs and Russian motors. Not sure what speed they go, but they go fast. There's no doubt about it.
he's admitting his age though, I just made him both more nose out of him. He didn't control the way he got it the other night.
Yeah, we're going to be getting out of here pretty soon. Karen has a little cookout planned tonight down at the house. But it's been a great little fun fly. You get to see some of everything. The original Strega still alive and well. Brian Super Tiger 60 inside. Still flying on a regular basis after all these years. I don't think it took them this long to get the real plane started.
Ready?
We're ready. Not quite as ready as we thought we were. Like the machine gun's coming off. time we take pictures of Mel's plane, something funny always happens. Not funny, but it looks like it flies pretty good. Can't break this prop. This is the only prop Elliot Scott provided me with, this prop to test my 91, and it wasn't big enough. It's only a 15.4, I think. Didn't load the motor enough, so we donated it to Mel's cause. OS Max 74 stroke. Actually, people don't know Mel has over 30 scale models in his Air Force. T-38, a big T-bolt, some bikes, I know that. Oh, quite a collection of stuff from a lifelong time of modeling. Anyway, we're staying actually longer than we should, but such a nice day. Really turned, except for Brian losing a gear. It'd have to be a great little fun fly for the club. Always great to see the variety of different modeling that goes on within the circle burners. And you can see how nice the field is after all that the dead fish that were out here a couple weeks ago and at the club contest. Mike Kajeski has done a job. Beautiful job of grading and leveling and getting the grass to grow again. We had just a fabulous fun fly at the field. That was just great. I came home to some real neat stuff. In fact, I may put some of this on the video. This is from Gary McClellan, our head judge. He sent me some video of his turbine-powered friend and him both have Skyrays. It's a really good video, especially if you look at it. In fact, I'll put a couple minutes on here. As it's taxiing up to the camera, I don't think you can tell it's a model. It's really a realistic plane. But anyway, here's what we have to do to Miss Ashley now. We have the 61, which belongs to Les Emmett. We're going to set up, we're finished with the 65 for now, and we want to preserve this setup, so I've written down the prop pitch, the venturi size, the header length, the pipe length, all the significant things, the amount of head gaskets that are in a motor. I've made a database for a 65. And it was very valuable in setting up Kent Tyser's plane. As you remember, at Brodax, we basically got it set up in a very short amount of time. But now we're going to start with the 61. And what I'm going to do is make up another pipe. I have a spare 65 pipe. I'm going to make a spare 61 pipe. In fact, I've already started one that is going to go to Bob Brookins. This is a special one with a special bend. And I think that the Strega pipe and the Miss Ashley pipe, they're almost interchangeable, so this will give me a chance once I take this apart just to take a look at and see if the Strega and the Miss Ashley pipe are going to be interchangeable. But anyway, we've had 61s in this plane already, and it's a small performance drop. Not much, but certainly we need to account for it. Usually the 61 will use a little bit smaller diameter prop, a little bit shorter pipe length. But anyway, that's yet to be done. Let me put a couple minutes of this video from Gary. Now, Gary McClellan has been a judge, a world judge, a Nats judge a gazillion times. And he loves birds, too. I'm not so sure he loves birds. I'm not so sure I love birds. But anyway, it's good to see that, well, in my case anyway, I appreciate here in my shop every aspect of modeling. You can have model railroading, twin engine planes, 4-stroke planes, tune pipe planes, and I just love them all. And there's no reason that, and very soon we're going to have, even adding to this, what I hope is another twin or A26. But for right now, I'll take about 5 minutes of Gary's footage of this Skyray. It is really incredible, and look at how realistic it looks. It's almost hard to tell it from the real thing, especially the sound.
part of that compressed air, man. Just hitting it. I like that.
thing to remember, you don't get as much throw with your trim as you will with your aileron, so 1 or 2 clicks at a time.
Yeah, I got it.
And it's not, you've got those dialed way down on the computer probably, but it's not on the trim.
thanks to Gary. The Skyray with the red tail. His other one belonged to one of his friends, but that's the kind of footage you can watch over and over again. It's pretty realistic stuff. Now what I'm doing is I'm making up a spare pipe for the 61, and of course I have a few spares down here, but I've already started to think, one of the things Ed Cotton wants to have done is have a custom pipe for his RC plane, possibly carbon fiber, I'm not sure. We're still discussing the possibilities, but I've already had a couple of ideas, things that may work for an RC pattern plane, and of course if we get one that works, that would be a nice addition to our inventory of things that we can make for people, especially custom things. Now, whenever I have this apart, I always try to clean the goop off the header. And by the way, Frank McMillan sent me, or gave me at the net, some real nice soft material to make a gasket that I'm going to try. And what happens here is I'm just afraid of over-tightening the screws. I would rather live with the fact that some of this gets on here, rather than the real possibility that I could tighten the screws and strip them. And I've seen Rich Jacobone do that. So my suggestion is just give these a tightening, because we do maintenance on the plane from time to time. This is a normal maintenance thing. And I've carefully written down what I call my database for this setup, but from this point on, we're going to break in the 61, pull all the hardware out of here, and hopefully within the next couple of days, we have one contest coming up by Bill Hummels. I hope we can make it. We'll get to try it, and of course try it at the Circle Planet Field a few times. Now, anytime I do maintenance, I always look around for the obvious things. Are the wheel collars that hold the push rod in tight? I'll pull a tail section. I've shown this on video a million times. That the bolts holding the landing gear blocks are tight. That the tank hasn't loosened up because we have a very soft shim system on a carbon tank. Is the prop nut tight when I put the new engine in? Just a normal routine maintenance, and it really pays, because when you get to the field, it's a lot easier to do it right here, where basically it's air conditioned. See, this is the whole thing. You can work in comfort and air conditioning, and you get Tricky to help you, rather than being out at the field where you're drooling and sweating and everything's a mess. Just doing the maintenance every once in a while, even if it's just to clean the plane off, worth so much, worth its weight in gold.
The day we waited for is finally at hand. Les is over there weighing up the new 61 with the ultralight crankshaft, and he said the crankcase is lighter even?
Case is lighter.
Case is lighter, crank is lighter.
Okay, we are
This is going to be our Team Trials engine.
There's Chicky. I hope Chicky doesn't have diarrhea.
Oh, he does.
Oh,
Chicky, leave Les alone, we have work to do.
this one is, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have the other numbers, but this one comes in.
Well, we're going to have it out of the plane, so just write it down. We're going to have it out of the plane in about 2 minutes. I already have the pipes out. He's made up a couple of spare pipes. Got the zip ties out. We got the break-in stand here. We got the Rojet plugs, the high compression head, the low compression Venturis, the this, the that, the that, the that, the yada,
Richard
yada.
sent us everything.
Everything. You've got the complete, I want to be a Rojet kit here.
Yeah.
All right.
Rojet for Super Tuner.
Okay, Super Tuner. And this is a copy of the engine that Rich ran at the NAT, so he's done a lot of development work on this, of course. Okay.
No, I didn't have the needles out. Well, you changed the needles out.
This looks nice. Write it down, because we'll take the 65 out and we can see. Yeah, it feels great. Okay, then of course what we're going to do is we're going to break it in. Let's have some special oil, the Randy Smith special oil. That we're going to mix a gallon of fuel for braking here with a little bit of extra oil. I have a gallon of fuel with extra oil already in it, so we can put that in addition to it. Put a brake in. No, it's not going to. We can run it all day, because they're doing construction work next door, so they'll think it's the construction guys making noise. How cool is this? You can watch the NAS fly off. Watch the top 20 fly off with no wind whatsoever out there. Okay, so the next one, once he does now, he's going to keep a little note. He's going to keep a little note on this. And the objective is this is going to go into Miss Ashley. 65's got to come out to the team trails. And we're going to use it up to the end of the team trails, at which point I'll put the 65 back. And then Les will have this motor, pipe, header, everything all set up to go right into what soon will be a, I don't know what we're going to call it, Disney plane.
It has this real nice torque wrench that we can set, and it gives you all the torque settings for 540s. It's 14 to 16 inch-pounds, so he can set his torque wrench and we can check the header.
Okay, there's 14.
There's a little spacer that
15.
goes in the back.
There's 16 inch ounces.
And when you buy the torque wrench, you get all these nice little Frajewskis with it.
All right, let's see what we get here.
And that's a slip clutch on that, if I remember right. Again, just like doing a head, you want to do each side equally, just a little bit at a time, not try to tighten one bolt and then go over to the loose one. You ever use a torque wrench on the guns?
No.
Or any parts on a gun that have to be?
Not on the guns, because they set screws differently on the guns.
Okay, there's your, when it clicks like that, means you've slipped the clutch at whatever setting you have.
Okay. So
Okay.
now we're done. Boy, I got to tell you, these bits are precision, because you can't just rotate them out. It wants to stay.
They want to stay, yeah. You can check the head screws too. As soon as that clutch slips, you know you have the torque setting for 540.
Running it at 9,500 with a 12-4 wood prop.
We want to do this when the motor is cooled. I would check that the header setting too, just to make sure. Let it seat in. It's heated and cooled once. This will reseat it right back in.
This is absolutely one of my favorites. Look at the people's faces. I've shown this before. Even Chicky's like this photo. Look at the two. Anyway, that's the landing on. From our friend Will Huben.
Again, these are shots from Will Huben. Will has become the official, I don't know if there is such a thing as the official B-25 photographer. We've basically gotten a whole bunch of
pictures from him, and I hope he's enjoying his Nats videos. And this is the kind of pictures he. This is what I appreciate. And Will took this when we were at the pizza place with our I don't know what we should call a waitress, wannabe stripper. I'm not sure. Anyway, and Will got a couple of these shots are priceless to me because they actually captured a moment. This was the moment in time, and if you've seen the Nats videos, Karen left a message on Kent's machine and that I had been inducted into the AMA Hall of Fame. And so I don't know how you could ever get these pictures if Will didn't get them. Certainly nobody else was taking pictures. And I count these as priceless memories. This wiping the tear from my eye here. Priceless memories at the exact moment I found out I was a inductee into the AMA Hall of Fame. That was really a special time for me. Also in today's mail, this is really, I'm sure Elliot Scott's going to be just jumping tickled to see this. From Elliot Scott's plans, it's a profile 40 Strega. And Warren, of course, sending me some photos of his shop. Now, Warren doesn't know it yet, but Karen and I are planning, maybe next year, to go out and visit him out in wine country. We're also planning a trip to Texas, and here's how he does some of the painting on this is on the landing gear legs, attached to a pegboard. I'm reading from his little note here. Some of the other little tricks he uses, and you can see they've been airbrushed, and having the little wires go into the pegboard. This is Warren's, and by the way, you can get a great idea from this. This is Warren's spray booth. He's got the fan. The furnace filter over the fan keeps all the spray dust from sticking to the fan blades, and of course catching fire on the motor. A nice little tip anyway. And this is the first flight at Woody and Arrows. I think that's just great. I've got some other pictures. I guess this is something else Warren's working on here currently. No caption on these pictures, but I'll run through them. Looks like a cardinal, in fact. Wonder where he got that shit. Warren, this looks pretty cool too. Anyway, we hope we're going to be able to, this is before he says new cardinal before he sprayed the clear. The original print job. There's some more pictures of the Strega as he was painting, and he has these great little jigs that go into the pegboard. Anyway, that's a nice little thing. Look how he did that. Great little idea, as many people have. Everybody contributes ideas. Same thing here where you can make a piece with solder or actually just glue it on it. Now look, this is Warren's pegboard in his spray booth. You can tell he's done a little spray. He's got the nice gravity gun. He's got a Campbell gun, it looks like. And a real important thing. And boy, we have 3 of these in the shop now. It's fire extinguishers. This is the underhouse area. And of course, Warren, many times, I'll leave that for last. Then I'll pictures of his beautiful home. That's just great. Now, Warren, I hope when you're watching in that video, you get to see Kent Tyson's Strega. This is Warren's house. Out in California, and it's one of Karen's dreams that within the next year or two we're going to be able to go out to California and do the West Coast on one of our impromptu vacations. Assuming everything works out with her help and mine, and that she'll be retired in a little over a year. Anyway, from Warren Walker, appreciate a whole lot, Warren.
Okay, well, anybody that watches Windy videos knows this is Chickadooley. I was having trouble explaining to somebody who Chickadooley really is. He's really a wild bird. He's not a caged animal. Off of me, Chicky. Anyway, I also had some baby fish. Now check this out. I put a cup inside because I wanted them to have a little house. These are little panda fish. And they're babies, and they seem to like to sit in a cup, so you have to get me, where's the other one? Can't even find the other one. Oh, he's right over there. So, this poor little guy, he spends his day in a cup here when he's not eating. I'm not so sure he's happy, but it's his first couple days in the tank here. Anyway, more about the bird. I got this really neat shirt from our friend Bernie Trent. And I'm going to put some of these pictures. Bernie sent an awesome album. Check out the shirt. Look at the other side. Baltimore Orioles. So we're going to wear this at one of the days of the team trials. Or maybe next year's Nats. We already have the matching hat, but Orioles. Bernie, thank you very much. Let me put Bernie's pictures on video. And boy, we've been watching the Nats videos of the B-25. Boy, I just wish it wasn't so windy on top 20 day. We would have really, I think we would have really given them guys a run for their bomber money. This is really tricky. This is really tricky. I know Bernie has not been introduced properly to Chicky. But here's our wild Baltimore Oriole, to tell you the story real quickly. He was run over by a car when he hadn't fledged yet, and this is what he looked like when he was a pre-fledgling. And that was just before Brodex 3 years ago. And of course he's grown into being, I don't know, what has he grown into being? Grown to be a Baltimore Oriole. Anyway, Bernie, thank you for the shirt, and we will for sure, we're going to send you down a box of videos. I hope you enjoy sharing the wonderful world of birds with Wendy. Bernie sent me down some paraphernalia for the Air Force Museum in Dayton. Needless to say, we've been there many times, and you're never done. There's always something exciting to see, something worth seeing, something that just blow me away anyway. You also, and I love sharing this stuff, and I'm going to look at all this separately. We've of course got many of the memorabilia things, the videos, and here's the website. Oh yes, Bernie, you're okay. Check it out. Anyway, we will make note of all this. The Pacific Ghosts. A lot of cool stuff. Anyway, look at this. Let me check the B-25 out. Oh, Jesus. And these are just some of the pictures in Bernie's album. I'm going to run through these real quickly. Phil Granderson's Diva. I think this is slated to be a model aviation article soon. John Simpson's Cavalier. The prototype plane, or one of the prototypes that went on to become probably one of the most popular planes of all time, thanks to Tom Morris. And by the way, Keith Ferguson has one of these, and it is really a jewel. It's really something special. If anybody's really anticipating ordering one, especially one completely painted and finished and flown, pre-test flown, give Keith a call, Keith Ferguson in Scotch Plains. He has got one fine flying Cavalier with a Fox 35. Howard Rush's plane. Before he installed the little flapperators, or whatever they were that we saw at this year's Nats, and congratulations Howard on 6th, flying well in the wind, as I'm sure most all combat flyers do. Doug Moon's ship, and we are really looking forward already to going to Texas in end of April. Anybody thinking about signing on board or coming down and joining our little stunt clinic, it's going to be in Texarkana. All they need to do is contact John Gunn for the details, and we hope Doug Moon will be one of the people participating. A nice shot of Frank Williams. I think this was at last year's Nats, if I remember right. He flew the yellow plane, the Hornet. Again, this year Frank Williams had an impact that was really good, really nice looking too, nicely finished. I think it was one of the kits, the impact kits that the Moon Brothers and John Grigsby sell. Ultra Hobby Products. Mike Pratt's Force. Mike, I believe, is living out in Colorado now. I'm not sure. Didn't get much chance to talk to him at the last Nats. Mike, of course, most famous in my book for designing and producing the Sig Magnum when he worked for Sig. Kurt Contrada's plane. I think this is Kurt's. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's Kurt's. And needless to say, finished in the top 5 and won the concourse, so it was an excellent year for him. I think that was the year before, not this year. I'm not really sure. I'm lost in the years here, but anyway, Kurt did win the concourse, and I believe this is the plane. But again, I can't be sure. Again, it's real nice having these photos, but now that we have them on video, we can return the original pictures, and everybody that either begs, borrows, or steals a copy of this subscriber video will basically have a copy. How much would it cost to reproduce all these pictures, and would they fade over time? I don't know. So I know video is a good medium to do this in. And of course, thanks to Bernie, and thanks to all the people that share their pictures with us. This is Randy Smith's plane, I believe. Randy, of course, the innovator for the PA series of motors, and the winner of the Jim Hunt Award for Excellence in Engineering this year. See Ken Ticer giving out the usual amount of respect to a fellow flyer here. One thing about this event, you always get the most respect you deserve. Now this year, of course, Bob Gieske was in the front row for the first time, and he was very emotional about it, and congratulations, of course, from all of us. His Bear series, one of the more popular planes being built right now, and a kit, Ultra Hobby Products kit you can buy. And they seem to fly very well. That looks like Bob giving Bill Rich a pit launch. Bob McDonald's really nice rendition of Billy Warridge's Thunderbolt, the bubble canopy version. And there's world-famous El Mundo fueling up Miss Ashley. Good-looking dude. Nice legs. Could be in a Purdue commercial. Chicken legs. The patented Ken Ticer launch. Our own, the pride of Genova, Italy. Rich Giacobone. Some nice pictures of Rich's latest Stuka. And Rich Giacobone's arch rival, his evil twin brother, Matt Newman. Evil identical twin brother, with his version of the Stuka. Our own local hero, young Daniel, Dan Bandrock. Miss Susie Q, the Reno Air Racer. 7th place at this year's Nats, who I believe was his highest finish ever. And well deserved too.
McMillan's Cordron front row at, I think at this Nats it was a front row plane. Winter's version. This is the World Jet number 38, which eventually became Miss Ashley number 38. And our good friend Rich Oliver of Roadjet fame with his Maverick. Ted Fancher, another candidate for the Chicken Leg Award. Maybe him and I should have a chicken leg fly-off. I think he'd win though. Bob Dixon's Crystal. Ken Ticer's one of his original two Stragas. Paul Walker with his P-51 Miss America. We still have plans for this available. Anybody's interested can just email me or let me know. We can get you a set of plans to this plane. Some of the pit action on pit row. Jose Modesto's really nicely finished Pattern Master, Tiger 60 by Big Jim. Pit action here. Nice launch photo. Another shot of Phil Grandison's Diva. Notice the unusual side to rear exhaust header. Grandison's really awesome Olympic. I think this plane won one of the awards for the best finished planes at VSC. I'm not sure though. It would win an award if I was voting. Beautiful plane, beautiful paintwork, very artistic. Bob Gildini can be proud. Looks like a shot from the Walker fly-off. Can't miss this shot. Kurt Contrada's red shirt. He had the most flamboyant shirt I have ever seen in a Walker fly-off and flew very well.
Some of the pictures from whatever event this is, giant scale IMAC. I'm not sure how they define this, but it's the giant aerobatic class. Get some ideas for a slick or original paint job. And they have carbon fiber props, carbon fiber gear, cowls, fuselages, amazing planes. What's most amazing, if you've never seen one of these in real life, is the sound. As the prop breaks the sound barrier, it sounds just like an AT-6 does in a dive. It just has that prop tip noise. Very, very realistic. Ed Cotton knows every one of these guys. Anyway, these are really spectacular to see in real life. Needless to say, they're quite a bit more money than conventional sunship. I remember spending about 3 hours down there with Kent, and these were just unbelievable. They were pretty spectacular. Anyway, as I say a million times, there's just so many events, so much to see, so many things I want to do, so many interesting things to see. When you go to a Nats, you just never get to see it all. We're looking for some original paint job. This looks a lot like Paul Walker's thing with the stars. There's something that's hard not to like. Snaggletooth. P40 Snaggletooth. With the flared Allison exhaust. That looks beautifully restored too. I'm assuming these are from the Dayton Museum. They have these little dioramas here, it looks like. Maybe this is from I'm not sure. I don't have it in a note. Little diorama with Spitfire with the little mannequins and pretty cool looking. Now there's what I call a diorama. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. B-25. One of the very famous B-24s. The cannon sticking out of this guy. And the nose art. What kind of load of nose wheel sits on a 24? Half of the wheel is actually already in the fuselage. B-17 nose art. Guy working the bomb site. Very, very nice album. I appreciate sharing it with us, and we'll send you down a copy of this video with a bunch of other ones to check out. Enjoy them all. Share them with your friends. Really do appreciate the sharing. Now, one of the things we learned from this year's Nats, and I don't know if we learned it or relearned it, I'm not sure, but we've had a lot of discussion with it with our friends, and we've tried to come up with a little bit of a do's and don'ts for assuming you go to your big contest and the conditions are similar to this year's Nats, what do you do? And so we had a couple of do's and don'ts and maybes, and what I thought, because I'm trying to put useful information onto the video,
These are things we've learned not only from the B-25, but for the Typhoon. And after I answer this call, we'll get right with the program.
Now, just to make a little summation of what maybe we've learned or relearned or done at the Nats, what would happen? Now, we obviously couldn't do this with the B-25 for a simple reason, that B-25 was not made to be playing bumper cars or flying Hurricane Stun. It was made basically as a Sunday relaxing, go to a few contests playing, but never intended to be flown in the winds. And you can see it was not, we had no extra props tuned for certain conditions. We had actually never flown it in that kind of wind anyway. But that's, most people that compete want to have a setup that'll work good in good air or air where the wind is really relaxing. And then you want to have that setup. Now, Rich Oliver and I have gone back and forth, and with Kent Tyser, trying to get a setup that'll work under hurricane conditions, under some real nasty conditions, but that'll get you through and get you, like what happened on Top 20 Day. Many people chose not to fly. I guess they were, for their own reasons, and smart. I don't know if I'm smart or dumb. I flew once and then put the plane away. But the point is, what would change if you had a setup that you had flown in good air? Let's just make a couple of the things up. Things that can be changed real quickly. So if you have, and this would be my, and I'm just going to make a little graph here. My feeling right away, one of the things I would like to have is whatever the handle spacing is in good air, and let's just call that X. Whatever X is, if I'm going to set up a setup, the Hurricane setup, because they're not going to be really judging geometry as much as can you get through, this is going to be X plus. In other words, a little wider handle spacing. Now, the way you can determine this is you go out on a day when it's really windy, and you've got to kind of put the plane at risk, I think, sometimes. In our case, it's difficult to do because we don't have conditions locally that can simulate the conditions that we find at the Nats. But having a little bit wider handle spacing, the plus factor, and having it all pre-flown is a significant thing. I'd also want to take, if these lines were, the length of the lines to the center of the plane were, let's call it Y, or maybe 70 feet, so we can relate to it, middle of the plane. Well, on these, I'd want to have a set that was maybe 3 feet shorter. Y would be 67 feet. Now, you notice a lot of the people that did real well and got through the wind fly on short lines all the time. And you can do that too. That's always the possibility, is you can tune for the worst possible environment. But I think it's a better choice to have a setup, to have a set of lines and a handle that would be specifically for these conditions, and a set of lines, and when you get there, you can kind of figure it out. Now, the trick is when you get both of these made is go out on a day that probably you could do it on even a good day, and fly the planes back to back so that the feel is similar. In other words, one neutral is not here and the other one is here. Get the neutrals the same. Plane will be more sensitive in this way. Another trick is, and I know that a lot of this is subject to everybody having a different opinion. When you fly in good air, you almost always want to have a little bit of nose weight. Let's simulate one of those, maybe an ounce of nose weight. As soon as it gets to a hurricane, you want no nose weight. CG back. If you have any nose weight in the plane, get it out, because it's only going to wind up more as you wind up with adding nose weight. Good air or in cool air, you want to have nose weight. Hot air, nose weight comes out. So you can see you're defining a way of dealing with some unusual circumstances. Now, of course, if we didn't have the B-25, I would already have a set of short lines. In fact, for Miss Ashley, I have 4 or 5 sets, braideds and solids, and a variety, even special lines for the team trials, because you can use 015. So I always have a wide variety. But in good air, I always have my setup that I'm real happy with, and I would say right up to the point of where the Nats was, where it gets unflyable and geometry is not going to be a factor, then I would want to switch over to my bigger handle, shorter line setup, nose weight out for sure, absolutely for sure. Another thing, if I had a prop, let's make a pretend prop up here, and I had, let's just say, because it's a pipe motor, 4 inches of pitch, I'd want to have exactly the same prop, the exact same prop, but with maybe 3 3/4 pitch. The reason for that is I wouldn't want it whipping up in the wind. And I'm going to go into this. This is a separate little dissertation that I'm going to do at the end of this. But the biggest one, I'm trying to do these big things first, little incremental things last. Good air, have that nice comfortable handle, small spacing, some ability to take nose weight in and out. You never want to have a plane that you can't take nose weight in and out. Here comes the hurricane winds, especially if it's hot. And in Muncie, it was the worst of all worlds. It was hot, humid, and all 3 H's. And you're 600 feet or whatever we are high there. I don't know, 60 feet. But anyway, the bigger handle spacing, get the nose weight out, or in the worst of all worlds, make a brass tail wheel or put some solder on the tail wheel. Now, having 2 props, one would be for good air where you can run in your normal 2-4 run. And in high winds, you want to be on the high end of the 2-4 run, where it's almost always in a 2-cycle. Let me just make a little graph about this. This is the second, in my estimation, this is the big thing. People that did real well were on short lines and had big handles and had nose weight out. And possibly this is the second factor, the props. This enters a whole other area. A lot of information on the prop videos, but this is something I think, again, useful information everybody can use, won't matter what plane or what motor you're using. Now, if you remember years ago when pipes first started coming to be popular, a lot of people said, oh, you just run a motor in a dead 2-cycle all the time. That 2-4 cycle thing is nonsense. Well, we've all lived to see the day that there is virtually nobody running a motor in a dead 2-cycle anymore. Everybody uses this power band, where this part of it is in a 4-cycle, and it'll break into a 2-cycle. And of course, with Venturi sizes, head gaskets, and props, you have infinite variability here. But you'd like to know where that break point is. Now, normally in good air, you'd be running a power curve that would look similar to this. It'd be soft most of the time, and maybe at the top of some maneuvers it would break, but this would be your range. Well, when you get into hurricane winds, you want the range to be here. This is the new range. You want the range to be that you're at the top of where it's ready to break on a moment's notice. Now, the way to do this and still maintain the proper speed is to just have less pitch. And again, this is all trial and error. You've got to go out to the field on a given day and try props, try setups. But typically, if you have the shorter lines and a prop with a little less pitch, you are really going to be light years ahead of a guy who has one propeller, one setup, one anything. Now, in the last couple of weeks, since we've been back from the Nats and getting ready for the team trials, we've been working with pitch and props, going out on the internet with Richard and Kent. What they found worked, what I found worked, back and forth. But we've switched props. Richard has some of my props, I have some of his, Kent has some of my props. The biggest thing of all is that we've all agreed on that we don't want to have a dead rich 4-cycle run in the wind. You're never going to get through the overhead 8. And you never want to have a real lean setting where it's in a 2-cycle in good air, because then you miss the benefit of having a 2-4 run. And I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe there is somebody that I just don't know about that is running them, as years ago people were talking about running the motor in here on a pipe. Well, if somebody's out there doing that, point it out to me next time we're at the Nats, because I haven't seen anybody. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is striving for that 2-4-2 break, the George Aldrich thing, the Big Jim thing. With a pipe, it's at a higher RPM, but it's still the same thing. And Rich Oliver and Randy Smith have both pushed that envelope to where these motors are dead reliable. You can buy them off the counter and go run them right away. Break them in, put them in a plane, and that's exactly what Les and I have done in the last week, is just put a brand new motor, break it in on the bench, put it in a plane, put the pipe at 18 inches, and go fly the plane. But this information will help you. I just have a feeling a lot of people, it's these little incremental things, the short lines, the less pitch on the prop, and running the motor harder, will all make the next time you come to the Nats and you get to top 20 day and it's unflyable, or like we're going to the team trials, it may be unflyable, who knows, where it's actually unflyable and yet you can still get a stunt pattern in without crashing the plane. And I think that's useful, rock solid information that everybody can use. Now, one of the things you can do to make your life a little bit easier, and I do this so often that I don't even remember, it's a part of my behavior now, is when I find things that work, I call that my notebook. Now, as an example, if we were to go, we're going to go next week up to Northampton to the contest, and I found out that I'll make a little note in my book that in Northampton, we know that's the contest, and it was about 90 degrees. I know Todd Lee does this too. I've looked at Todd Lee's book. He records every flight like a logbook a real pilot would. Well, that's excellent. It was 90 degrees and it was a mild wind. I would want to know that, and I have these props all numbered, I would know that prop number 7 worked. And how did it work? Good, bad, or mediocre? Worked well. Well, now what will happen is, now this is not exact information, it's not going to give you the needle setting or something, but these rough things, what happens a year later, you go back. We go back to Northampton. And wow, you know, gee whiz, if we're flying the same plane, gee, it's 90 degrees again. Well, I know a good starting point would be, if we have a day to work on setups, let's start with the number 7 prop. You see what I'm saying? Now, I did this at the team trials 2 years ago, or 4 years ago, I think it was, with Strega. I had made a prop up, and we'll just make how this worked. And I took the prop and marked it the team trials prop. And I noted all the conditions. The temperature was in the 90s. The wind was mild. I was running the GMA jet then, the 61. Well, you see where I'm going with this. And I recorded the Venturi size and the pipe length and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, now I'm flying Miss Ashley, but all this information is a good starting point. Now I've got a little database to start with. I don't want to start with prop number 1, number 2, number 3. I want to start with the one that was working good under very similar conditions. And anytime conditions are similar, if it's hot, I always feel there's 3 conditions. You're in a flannel shirt. That's condition 1, flannel shirt. You're in a t-shirt. Or you're just naked, and I say that's when you're sweating in a t-shirt. Those are probably the 3 conditions, and this probably would relate to maybe 70 degrees, 80 degrees, 90 degrees. So maybe in Houston this would be 120, I don't know. But in our 3 conditions, and as I look back at videos, and I say, gee whiz, we were flying in a flannel shirt, and that number 7 prop had too much pitch. Well, all of a sudden I'm gathering data. Gee, at 80 degrees when I was in a t-shirt, number 7 worked good. And at the team trials, number 7 was the prop to have. Well, now I want to get a pitch gauge, make one of those little wooden pitch gauges, so I can replicate that setup. But this is just a crude way of doing something that you can make it as infinitely detailed as you like. I suggest everybody have a notebook and record basic conditions. And at the end of a season, go back and look and see, because you don't really remember. A lot of times you forget. Yeah, I just went to the dentist not long ago. Look at this bird. Get out of here. Get out. I'm going to take you to the dentist. One tooth. I went to the dentist and he said, you know, you missed your checkup last year. And I said, no, I didn't. I was sure I went. And he said, oh, no, wait a minute. You didn't go the year before either. You've been 2 years since you've been here. Well, what it is he makes appointments in the middle of the season where there's contests every weekend. And I just had lost the card and forgot to go. And he never reminded me. Having a notebook would remind me. I can always look back and say, gee, when did that work well? How did it work well? Was it mild? What motor? Like the 65 turns a little bit bigger prop. Well, I have all the notes for the 65 now. But having this information, especially when it's temperature sensitive, You can always use this to your advantage. Todd Lee has the best notebook I've ever seen. Mine isn't that detailed, but it's basic ABCs of when I'm at the field and what's working for me. And never be afraid to write on the props or scribe on them or whatever. You get into, and this, we're at the end of the tape almost. We're into, maybe we won't even finish this before we run out of tape, but lead out position. There's a little advantage to be had if you know ahead of time. And let's make a lead out, a fake lead out guide, right? Need something that we can see a little bit. Here's your fake lead out guide. And let's say in calm weather, your lead outs are coming out over here. Well, you can, and I think Paul Walker writes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've seen several people put the numbers 8, 9, 10 underneath so they know where the lead outs should be. Well, now what you do is you go flying on a windy day, a really windy day, if you without risking a plane. And what I would want to do is little by little move the lead outs forward, forward, forward until I find a point where the plane is hard to fly in level flight. Well, that's always going to be significantly further forward. Of course, the handle changes now. As you move the lead outs, the handle is incrementally changing, don't forget. But let's say you found these two positions to fly in a wind. Well, what would you do? Well, here's what you'd do is you'd have that 67-foot set of lines with the big handle hooked to that lead out position. Write the lead out position right on the handle so you can plug it right in, or in some way put a little scratch on a plane or a piece of tape. But now you've got, think of how far ahead you are here. You've got short lines, a bigger handle spacing, lead outs further forward, and a prop with less pitch. And you're ready to tackle a wind. Now all you need is one of those real windy days where it's windy enough to test this stuff, but not so windy that you risk the plane. Test it, mark it all down in your notebook, and hope that you'll be on a team or one of the teams in the future, because that's a lifetime of my information that I've condensed down into about 20 minutes. And we will hopefully see you on the next tape. We got a minute or two of tape left. I thought I'd show this. And this is a stick, I call it a stick of props that I had for the 4-strokes when we were testing 72s and 91s. Every one is a little different. Every one is marked with the diameter. EP would mean it had carved in some extra pitch, so if I have two the same, some has extra pitch, some has less pitch. All of these have been balanced and on a plane already. They all have several little notes of what I found was useful on them. They're all ready to put back on a plane. Now when I combine this stick of props with my notebook, well, I think what you find is that was one of the things that helped me get into the top 5 with the Typhoon, is I knew what prop had to be on for the conditions every day, changed the prop several times, always had the right prop on, and knew ahead of time what the result was going to be. Saved me the time of being out at the field, at the Nats or the team trails, and having to waste time changing props and learning that on the field. A lot easier to learn it at home. In fact, once I get it down to maybe 2 or 3 situations, a good air prop, a wind prop, one that'll fly in unflyable air, maybe even 3 props. I get my 3 favorites, then I'll sand them down, paint them, because I want them to look realistic. But I still have the notebook, and I still have each one numbered, and I can still catalog the information from each prop under certain conditions. One final note for anybody that is interested, I made up at a special request for a couple of people wanted it, but I do have a master copy now of all of the flights of the B-25 at Brodax, the Nats, and a lot of the practice flights we flew that were recorded, that the recording is worth watching. It'd be good if somebody hasn't seen the Nats tapes or the Brodax tapes or whatever, and they want a copy of that tape, just let me know. We have it in stock right now. And by the time you get this tape, Strega kits will already have been delivered. The Strega kits are in the pipeline as of today. And I think the Strega kit is going to go down. Years from now, you're going to look back and say, wow, I think there are going to be a lot of these built, a lot of people having good luck with them, with a wide variety of power plants. And as I get older and older, I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of them. And special thanks to John Brodak for making this possible, making this available to the world of control line model aviation. He's in a class by himself. I just don't know what else to say. This is a fabulous kit, and we're looking forward to, in the near future, seeing a lot of them at Brodak's next year, helping people trim them out. We have them in stock now for anybody that still wants one. Now look at this picture and just notice for one thing, only the props are in the sun. Everything else is in the shade. Picture by Will Hubin that I have in my shop. Another picture by Will Hubin, and this has to be my favorite picture of all time. Just look at the faces on Des Taffender with his stopwatch. This was at Brodak's. Casminato, Peabody. Tom Morris in the back. Zambelli, Banjock. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I think it's worth 1,000,000. A real sad thing as we end this tape, on a sad note of all things. My good friend Warren Walker has told me, and he knows Tiger DeStefani. In fact, this is Tiger DeStefani's autograph that he had autographed onto my B-25 picture from a Pampa issue. He did that at the last Green and Rare race. He said Tiger is not going to campaign Strega and that he has already sold the motor. So I guess all the video we have of Strega over the years, the Skyfire videos, it's now priceless because there's never going to be any more Strega video, I guess, unless somebody builds a real Strega. Strega's going to live on in the world of modeling. Believe me, years from now you're going to look back at this and laugh. There'll be a lot of them. And that was a pretty special Nats going out to Pasco with Strega. That was really a great time. Here's the top 5 finals. So I hope you enjoyed the tape, and we'll see you on the next tape. We're going to be going up to Northampton, Massachusetts next week. Should be a really good contest, expecting a great turnout, and we look forward to it each year that we're able to attend. See you on the next tape.